Well, I am incredibly late to the party on this one, but I had a few things get in the way. Not that that matters to any of you. What matters is that Ashes of Creation just made possibly the most significant bit of progress in the past year. Jumping straight in, this is the first time we've seen a Pyre as a playable in-game character. After seeing the Vec for the first time last month, it's very fitting this month's update showing off combat for the first time in almost a year would also be in tandem with the reveal of the Pyre. As Stevens starts to swing this absolute chonker of a two-handed greatsword, there's two very important things I want you to realize while we watch this footage together and you listen to my opinions on it. The first is that this is a small portion of combat, just basic attacks on 2 of the more than 10 weapon types planned for the final game. And even at that, this is a very early version of this small portion of combat, pre-Alpha 2, that obviously does not reflect what combat in the final game will look like. However, it does give us a very, very good idea of the direction combat is going and what we can expect for Alpha 2 and beyond. The second thing you need to know before I dissect any further is that I am not an MMO player. If you are looking for opinions from someone who actually knows what they're talking about, I would recommend a YouTube channel called Narc. My perspective is not one of a veteran MMO player, as I am a zoomer who missed the boat on a few of the best MMOs, but I have been playing video games literally as long as I can remember, and I do have a valuable perspective in that front. Because if this game wants to be the next greatest MMO, they have to design things in a way that makes both veteran gamers of the genre happy, and if anything, more importantly, brings in new generations of MMO players like myself. That is an incredibly tall order, but if anyone can do it, I truly believe it is Intrepid Studios based on everything I have seen so far. And this update is no exception. As we watch this footage, the first thing that came to my mind was it's very snappy. And I mean that in the best possible way. Sure, the animations could be ironed out a little bit to give a slightly less choppy feeling, but at the same time, I love how fast everything is, and I don't think it should be slowed down at all. The quick dash is definitely an improvement from the dodge roll in Alpha 1 in terms of quick and snappy gameplay, like I said, and the swings of this sword flow seamlessly together, whether it is a single swing or a chain of multiple attacks that slowly progressively end up in, eventually, a whirlwind of AoE sword swinging. Another thing I really like is these attacks in general feel much more weighty than Alpha 1, and yet player agency is still intact. As you see, momentum in whatever direction you are pressing of your WASD is kept while swinging, to varying degrees depending on what stage of the attack combo you are in. As well as, interestingly enough, obviously this big old hammer thing is definitely not part of the basic attacks. This would appear to be an ability that likely will be present in Alpha 2, which in my opinion is a pretty solid looking animation. The daggers, which did not make it into Alpha 1, were also shown off, although not quite as much as the greatsword. And again, it is really interesting to look at how much player momentum in terms of which direction you are actually moving with your WASD keys is maintained, especially it seems like more so with the daggers. It seems like larger weapons will have a more weighty feel and less player momentum maintained, which I think is a very good thing. You want that kind of uniqueness in the weapons you choose to use, seeing as that is such a big aspect of this game, being that no weapon is class locked. The dagger basic attacks look great, the greatsword basic attacks look great, but that is not the only significant information from this month's update. According to Steven, pretty much 100% of the UI, genuinely everything from damage and XP numbers on screen to the blur-like particle effects of slashing with your weapon, will be fully customizable. So you will be able to change the color, size, and direction of movement of the damage numbers on your screen, as well as the color, thickness, and overall visibility of these slashing effects when using your basic attack. This level of customization is really something to look forward to. It may seem like a small thing, but it's the little quality of life improvements like this that really allow that extra level of personalization that I have not seen present in many games I have played, let alone an MMO with this kind of feature scope. I do wonder how far this will extend in terms of adjusting the level of particle effects that will be present on not just weapon attacks, but abilities, because likely most competitive high-end PvP and PvE players will minimize these particle effects as much as possible just for the sake of visibility. Not that that's a bad thing, just a little observation. But either way, having the customization there is incredibly good, and it does make some sense, being that Intrepid are trying to go for a completely vanilla experience. As far as I know, they are not planning on having any add-ons within the game. So there we have it. I know, not a super long video, but the reason for that is that I just don't really have all that in-depth of an opinion to give on these things because I am not an MMO player. Like I said, I am just a young man in search of the next game to bury myself in for hopefully as long as possible. Thank you very much for watching. I am truly excited to see the next few months of updates as they incrementally roll out more aspects of the combat system, show off more races in game, more archetypes and their abilities, etc, 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 as well as the many other systems due to be present in Alpha 2, which hopefully will be ramping up in how often they are shown off, being that Steven loosely said Alpha 2 is getting closer on the horizon.